Episode number 446. I just want to say thank you so much for rocking with your boy. And most importantly, I don't know if you guys know, but I do have 4 businesses that help me do what I do each day. The first one is our foundational business. That is Real-Time Outsource. That is realtimeoutsource.com. We can help you boost your digital presence in 7 days a week, folks. We're working with our clients is for them on their behalf. So take advantage of our team and let your social media thrive in 2024. And that leads into my second business, which is realtimereputation.us. This is a business that I was sitting down with a customer. We were talking about their software that we could use to possibly power his reviews. And so we did eventually white labeled and now have our own software to help you power your business and get more customer feedback and online reviews 24 hours a day. Easy with an email list or a phone list. Realtimereputation.us. Take advantage of it, folks. And my next businesses are my passion projects. They are my loves, and I want to see them thrive and grow this year. I love podcasts. That's ILUV podcast.com. This is our podcast agency where we can help you get your voice in front of the right people. We're using audience strategies, booking services, our podcast marketing services, and our podcast review strategies. We can not only help you get your podcast to that next level, but also help you get booked on 3, 5, 8 shows every single month and making it easy for you to focus on what you do and help us take our network and extend out your voice to them. And my last one, which is my favorite and my baby, and that is dreamsportscars.com. Dreamsportscars.com. What do you dream about? And we have searched the most craziest, cars across the globe, from baseball, basketball, Pokemon, wrestling, UFC, and the list goes on. We're also on Whatnot Daily. That is dreamsportscars.com. We have on eBay and Whatnot Daily with 3 shows a day. And most importantly, I hope you guys are having a great day. And thank you.
Like, you have to narrow down your audience to get traction these days, because what is different from 2015 is the way that B2B prospects buy. They are so overwhelmed with information.
Welcome to the Be Real Show with Travis Too Tall and Huff, where we talk about life, dreams, social media, and business.
Well, hello. Welcome to the Be Real Show with Travis, Too Tall and Huff. Folks, I hope you guys are having a wonderful and fabulous night, weekend, or morning, whenever you are listening to the show today. But I think you're going to want to think about growth mode. And in your marketing, in your business, are you focused on high growth? Are you focused on demand generation? Are you focused on B2B, how to get more growth? And how are you doing that today? And we're going to talk about someone that's doing that for HR and tech companies as a high growth marketing, and growth mode marketing is the name. Mrs. Deanna Shimota. Deanna, are you ready to be real?
I am ready. Hello.
She's fired up, folks. She's fired up. We're ready to talk about growth marketing. Before we get into the nitty gritties of obviously the business and what's going on today, were you always into marketing? Were you always into business?
Yes, I went to college many, many years ago for marketing and have gone down that path. So while I think many marketers actually come from different backgrounds, I can say I have a true marketing background. And my whole career, I've actually been on the B2B side of things. So I've never worked in the glamorous world of B2C,
right?
But I work in the fun of business to business.
Which is, I think, one of the, obviously, let's just be real, like very, very high level contract involved sometimes, you know what I mean? Like within these two businesses, It's not like you're just selling a cheeseburger to, at someone at McDonald's, B2C, or at Target or something like that. Sometimes you're moving a big conversation where it's going to be millions of dollars between two business partners. And so we forget that you don't need as many customers in B2B. as you would need B2C usually. Now, sometimes you do if you're a software or some of these things, you might have a huge depth of customers, but really in B2B, it's now becoming more about that strategic, like the gentleman was talking earlier about that right avatar, that right kind of persona, so that you're not wasting your time too, because I feel like in today's marketing world, there's a lot of different ways to waste your time in like, go after this person, go after that person, go after this person. And obviously, let's just be real. We want to limit to the most effective time possible with the least amount of outreach to get the most profit back in. And sometimes that's all just kind of BS because it's not going to be reality. But talk to me about right now. When you first started the business let's talk about the first start. When did the business evolve? Like, when did it go from like, I was working for an agency or I was working this into now, this is my business? Was it a customer conversation? Was it you just taking the plunge? What, kind of started the process into growth mode?
So I was actually working on the corporate side. I was a VP of marketing at a software security company that was private equity backed. So I came in, I was going to build the marketing department from the ground up. And of course, the private equity firm had the expectation that the company was going to. I was stepping into that role to build that out because we expected that organization was going to be acquired down the road and make the investment firm and all the investors lots of money trying to go 10x. One of the strategies was we're going to limit the number of employees that we hire in this organization, and we're going to go in 5 years with no more than 50 employees. So that meant from a marketing standpoint, they were like, yes, you can have a team, but it's not going to be a real big team. And we have to figure out how to achieve this high growth from a marketing standpoint without having the fixed cost of, 20 employees on that team.
Right.
Working, with a team of about 5 of us to figure out, okay, how do we get to 50 million in 5 years? That's a pretty aggressive goal, especially in the cybersecurity space, which there were a million technologies. Yes, very, very crowded market. The buyers, those prospects, more than any other role in an organization. And so I was reaching out to marketing agency partners, trying to find someone to help me build things. And when I went to them, I said, we need leads. We need them yesterday. I need someone to be strategic with me and help me think through how to build this out and execute on it. And of course, all of the agencies said, but I wasn't finding an agency that really understood what it was like to be in my shoes. They would come back and they're like, we're going to help you build a beautiful brand experience. Now, I'm a marketer.
Yeah.
I know full well the importance of brand. And in fact, we'll probably talk about that piece today because it's really important when market, because if they don't know you exist, quite frankly, they're not going to buy from you, right? But the conversations that these agency leaders were having with me was just missing the mark. They didn't understand. I've got investors, I've got a board of directors. I have to justify every dollar that I'm spending to show how we're moving the organization forward towards that growth goal. Fast forward a little bit, I was having this conversation with multiple agencies, and quite frankly, they all said, yes, we specialize in B2B. Many of them, when you looked at their book of business, at best, 20% of their business was B2B and the other was 80% or more was B2C. And to me, it's like, okay, that's a side gig.
Right.
So fast forward, I'm struggling with these agencies because they just don't get it. And, we're doing the best we can to work with them. But I had a conversation with a former colleague and I was just like, I am so frustrated with the agencies out there. And here's all the reasons why. And she's like, oh my God, I've had the same experience. Maybe we should start. So that's how I pivoted out of the corporate world and into founding an agency. And that would have been 2015. So we've been going at it for 8 years now.
Let's go. You hit the 2-year mark.
Yeah.
We're going forever. Well, especially with the agencies right now, you know what I mean? So like it's definitely, we've seen it since 2020. or even before, obviously, agencies that did not focus on any digital kind of services or didn't kind of pivot that way, we're having a hard time because you can't just place money on, like, let's just throw the money on the newspaper and the magazine and the TV buy and, no big deal. And then but if they weren't embracing like the Google ads and like reputation and some of these things, you kind of saw them like really lose clients. You know what I mean? Like I saw them like the slow attrition. I started the business in 2009. I started slowly seeing them lose clients because they were not providing these services that were competitive. And then now obviously you have many different tools so that it's just more competitive. So you have to be on top of your game. You can't just be old school. You can't just be stuck in your ways in the agency model because it's just changing so much. Even in the short time that I worked before even my business, I worked for ABC Television, and then I started my business. And even in the 4.5 years I worked there, it evolved like nuts. Like it went from zero TV to on demand. And then all of a sudden you had everyone skipping ads, and you had basically like, who knows if people are watching your stuff? I don't know. Like everything's on, now everything's on the Hulu, Netflix, and it was just barely getting started. Hulu, like in 2008, 2009, so now obviously there's like Peacock and Hulu and Disney Plus, and you know what I mean? Like, and now it's just it's a trend. It happened. It's over. It's not going backwards. We're not going back to broadcast. So if you were just stuck in only placing stuff on broadcast and not embracing the new platforms, it was just, the bottom line is this business more than any is evolving fast. You know what I mean? Like with the chat GBTs and with a lot of the tools and stuff, it's empowered us all, but it's happening faster in our industry than I thought it would. I thought and a lot of them, you hear the interviews, they thought it kind of would go after the data and like the kind of the numbers kind of jobs, but it's kind of actually helped and went after like a lot of the creative jobs first, like a lot of the creative photography with the AI and the ability to have ChatGPT write stuff and brainstorm ideas for you on the go. It saves time. I mean, there's certain factors that definitely save time and help, but if you're not embracing it and you don't have no idea what ChatGPT is and you're not using it and you're not going to do it for 10 years, you're going to be out of business, or you're going to have another revolution of like the same thing we saw the last 10 years where, because it's kind of speeding up, I feel that, so take me into this now, because we're different from 2000 when you started 8 years ago. Right now, when people are reaching out to you, new prospects, what are some of their biggest challenges? What are some of the things that they're needing or asking or kind of wanting from you?
Yeah. Has changed from 2015. I mean, when we started as an agency, Growth Mode Marketing was a full service B2B agency. It was kind of like, we are everything to everybody.
Right.
And we made that mistake. We see a lot of organizations, quite frankly, make that mistake. And so over the years, in the last couple of years, we've pivoted to realize to be everything to everyone. It's really hard to say we're a specialist in every single facet of marketing, right? Like that, you have to be a very, very large agency in order to achieve that.
One of the top agencies with, you're bringing in talent across the globe to say, I got an SEO expert. It's
right.
impossible. If it's all T-Huff, you ain't the expert, big dog.
Right. So in the last couple of years, we pivoted and we decided to focus specifically on demand generation and to go even further into that niche. We actually work with companies from a lot of different software industries within B2B, but more specifically, we started focusing on our tech. It was a marketing strategy. We actually advise our own clients, like, you have to narrow down your audience to get traction these days, because what is different from 2015 is the way that B2B prospects buy. They are so overwhelmed with information. I mean, if you
options,
look at
so many different things and bells and whistles and software.
Right. So many options. And you talked about AI. Has anyone noticed that their inbox at work is now 10 times fuller since AI was embraced? Right. That's because it's really easy to just create email campaigns and push them out. And, there's some organizations that are are really leveraging the AI and maximizing who they reach now. And the effect is, as a prospect and a buyer, my inbox is now bombarded. And this is happening across all channels. There's just so much information out there and so much competition that buyers, and this kind of started happening during COVID because suddenly they weren't in the office and sales reps can't reach me.
Oh yeah.
They don't know my home phone number. They don't know my address anymore. They started to realize that they have more control in the buying process than the seller does. And so research has come out from Gartner and Forrester, and we, with our own, prospects and clients, that the average B2B buyer is waiting until much, much later in the decision, like the purchase decision process, before they're willing to have a conversation with a sales rep. In fact, they're making up to 80% of that purchase decision before they will talk to that
on
sales
their own
rep.
research and their own due diligence.
Right. And 75% of them in this research have said, I don't want to talk to a sales rep at all during the purchase process.
Right.
So you think about that changes the way that we do marketing.
Yeah.
And you're trying to find a needle in a haystack, because in a normal economy, maybe 5% of companies are at any given time. When the economy is like it is right now, and a lot of companies, and we're seeing this in the HR tech space and the tech space in general, are really pulling back on the spend that they're doing with vendors right now. That 5% probably shrunk down to 1% or less. So you're trying to find the needle in the haystack. Oh, and out to you until you've made the short list.
Got you.
So if you stop and think about that from a marketing perspective, it's like, holy cow, I think your digital footprint needs to become your best sales rep, because it's got to get them 80% there. And they need to know who you are long before they're in market, so that when they actually are in market, already, have brand awareness, you have credibility, you've built this trust, and they've actually built an affinity for your brand. So they're sitting there saying, I've been following along with brand XYZ for a year now. I love the content they put out. I don't have the budget right now, but I want to, like, they come in already knowing that this is who I'm going to work with when I finally get approval on that budget, or when the organization's pain point is big enough that we can
make a change.
To make a change, exactly.
To make the change that they need to make they obviously, like anything, it's like we don't make changes until it hurts, or sometimes some organizations and people are always ahead of the schedule, but a lot of times it's when the pain comes, they're like, we got to make a change. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I was even thinking about this as you were talking about our website, in that it is too general. It serves everybody. I mean, we typically don't serve everybody. We typically do actually only really hyper serve the agencies. And then our secondary tier client is just any general business, or obviously anyone that reaches out in the world. But we're not even any specialized inside of that. Like, we're really not, because we kind of serve from auto dealerships to doctors and the restaurants and the blah, blah, music festivals and the public community good festivals, and we just have, it's all come in, but a lot of it has been at the agency level. And I think that you're absolutely right. Like, for us, maybe we need to really revamp and focus on an agency approach website, both content and et cetera. And if others reach out to us, great. But if not, we're really speaking to that agency person that is looking for a team to help, kind of do the heavy lifting on the social and do the content and engage, and especially on the off hours and the weekends and nights and things like that when they're not working. But yeah, I mean, I think that I was just thinking out loud, like what you guys have done with your website, you're really speaking to the HR tech decision maker rather than just speak to everybody in tech. And you still could get some other people in tech too that, gravitate to the messaging, but you really, because then you really have gotten over that hump of everything for everybody, and just it's so confusing now. I mean, for, like you said, just like so many options. Now it's just boom. This is the focus.
This is who we are. Yeah.
And you can really only serve so many customers anyways in this business. You know, you can't serve hundreds of thousands of
Right.
customers in the agency business. It ain't possible, dude. I mean, even the biggest agencies,
Yeah.
they have turnover, and there's, you know, this kind's going to a new agency. And so, yeah, you're bringing in new, but I mean, like, even the biggest agencies, they're not serving hundreds of thousands of customers. You know what I mean? Like, they might be serving 1,000 of the biggest brands in the world, but they're not serving 100,000 brands. You know what I mean? Of the biggest.
Yep.
So,
I know what you mean.
So, because it's literally impossible, like it's impossible. Plus, I think the relationships and, like, you know, brands don't want you to work with the competitors, and there's just no way for any one agency. But I think you're absolutely. It's fascinating what you said. Just basically that if you guys have a website, people are not reaching out to you until they've basically gone through your website, browsed it millions of times, maybe checked out your social, and they've already got the identity fit before they even want to talk to you. Like, they don't. Back in the day, they might just have called everybody like, hey, Fresno agencies, or, you know, social media agencies world, and or growth agencies world. And then they see, hey, let's go, Deanna, let's call everybody. But now they're not doing that. And essentially they're doing it all like on their own. And then, like, a lot of times as the business, we probably don't even know that these people are even browsing our websites.
Right, because you can't measure everything, and as much as
it's hard
us marketers really want to be able to tie ROI back to everything, right? Like, you don't know who's listened to your podcast.
Yeah,
you don't know,
absolutely.
Who looked at your website.
Absolutely. You just see numbers. You can see some other general data. You can actually see some, you know, insights and demographics sometimes, and location data. But it's hard for you to understand who that really is. And at the end of the day, like you said, for more and more of us, we just kind of built the website, put it up there, and then it doesn't really evolve. But I know ours, it probably hasn't evolved since 2020 or even earlier. I think that's fascinating. I think that is a fascinating.
Yeah. Well,
because we all have that, like, you can always make changes to your website. Like, you know, the domain's there, you just go edit, start coming up with some ideas, folks. Like, start coming up with some new, kind of outreach ideas. But also, more importantly, like, when people come to your site, what do they see? You know, like, what is that? And are you speaking to your biggest buyer? I'm thinking both of the conversation I had this morning and the conversation we're having today, in that, are we speaking to our biggest buyer from the get-go? Right? Like, because if we're hitting the HR tech space hard, growth mode is going to be taking over the HR tech space. You know what I mean? And so, but then if we're just like growth mode marketing, then it could be everybody. It could be an automotive dealership in Los Angeles.
It can. Yeah, one of the things I will say, because I talk to prospects all the time and have this conversation with them, specifically within the HR tech space, where it's like, you're trying to be everything to everyone. Because I will say, who's your ideal customer profile? And they're like, honestly, our solution works for any company that has between to 50,000 employees.
Right.
It's like, okay, do you really think talking to that employer that has 50 employees is the same as talking to that employer that has 50,000? Well, everyone knows that's not the case, but when you have a really broad audience, you're trying to be everything to everyone. It resonates with no one. And it's really leaders. And I know, I own my own business. I had to make that decision and have a come to Jesus conversation with myself to say, okay, you need to do this, because it's when you're thinking about how do I grow my business, it's natural to think the bigger the audience, the more opportunities that we have to sell.
Right.
Oh, and we see this opportunity here. And I don't want to box our company in, because I don't want to turn down the business from the people that don't fit that profile. I totally get that. I had to go through that with my own mentality and thinking about it. But it's like, okay, if you stop and think about it the way, I'll use an HR example, because that's what I talk about all the time with our prospects and clients. If I am an HR leader in a manufacturing company and I have 10 different vendors marketing to me for their recruitment management software, they all, in my eyes, do the same thing, right? But let's say they start talking about how they understand that I am dealing with unions, shift differentials, the dangers of working on the factory floor, having to be OSHA meeting those requirements,
Right.
how you've got administrative and factory staff, and they maybe get different perks and benefits and it gets tension. Like, specific to being a leader of manufacturing, you're not going to have that same experience if it's an administrative office or a bank, right? So now when that one vendor out of 10 is speaking my language, I mean, take a step back and think about it. Which one do you think they're going to feel more connected to emotionally? Which one do you think understand my unique challenges? Because I'm not just any HR leader, I'm a manufacturing plant HR leader, and that's different.
Right. I mean, it totally makes sense. And at the end of the day, like you said, biggest thing, people now, they have so many damn options that if you can build that trust like up front, the process of the sales, calls and the amount of back and forth. Like I know when I bought my last car, I didn't test drive it. That sounds crazy. There was only so many options that fit my lease budget and fit the size and the parameters I'm working with my customers. So I looked at his inventory. I kind of looked at it all, and I didn't test drive it. That sounds crazy, but I bought a $800 payment lease car, which is not a small transaction, and I did the research by myself on the internet by basically saying, okay, this is kind of the budget limitations that we have for our family for the size vehicle. This is what they have. These are the lease specials they have. And I sent them over the car that made sense. They said, sure, here's they got all the payment stuff all on email. All on email. I show up to the dealership. The car's got a bow on it. I walk in. I sign the docs. They try to, get you to sign every extra little, what are the, hey, say, can we get you to insure this? And can we get you, they try to get you to lease payment. You got to say, no, I'm good, brother. I'm good. Thank you so much. Give me that cheap lease payment. But the most important thing is that time of for the dealership. Let's just think about it. Like, are they sold a car without having to do any of that, like selling, and like we used to sit there. Which one would you like, sir? And what we talk about, and like you said, the 80% was done already. I was already ready to go, and then they actually made the deal on an email. You know what I mean? So that's the crazier thing, is they basically made the deal by saying, hey, here's the what you would require for the the payments based on your credit, and the whole point is that it's not going to change. We're going to be buying cars like that in the future. And it's only going to get, every service is only going to get more and more like that, where, like you said, people want to basically do that research on their own, prepare themselves, get ready. And the more that you can have that information ready for them, the more you can have them prepared, the more information they can have in the process of the setup or whatever it is, they're ready to move. When they're ready to move, it's easy, And so, like you said, it's all done kind of digitally. The digital lifting is kind of done for you if done properly. If not, you're going to be spending a lot of time talking to people and still doing some of these things. But a lot of times you might not even get that interaction. That's the thing we're talking about today. You might not even get that call because they don't want to talk to you. If their website, if the content on social, if it doesn't speak to them, they're not going to give you a call. So you might even not even get a shot if you don't kind of go back and rethink this right now. I think for everybody, like for even myself, I'm like thinking, if we don't rethink this, we're not going to get as many inbound calls from our deal prospects. And because I guarantee they have been looking at our website, but they think we do too much for everybody. And we're not the specialist for small advertising agencies that have less than 10 employees that like to use vendors that scale. You know what I mean? Like, instead of, we're not talking to, the DBBs and these huge agencies in the world that, are essentially have 15,000 offices, and we're not talking to them. No, we're talking to the small agency owners, and so that's resonating with me, because I'm literally going to go and change our website based on this conversation. I literally am. And that's why I always love doing the show, folks. Honestly, that's why I continue to do it, is because I learned so much from our guests. And at the end of the day, if you are not doing those things, if you're not making changes in your business, if you're not evolving and adapting, what's going to happen, folks? We know what's going to happen. You're going to get hit with this wall, and it's going to be like, I can't do anything. I don't know what to do. It's going to be too confusing. And then it's going to be, you're out of business, and sadly that will happen faster than in today's day and age, faster than ever. But like I said, I love this idea of just having the digital footprint, kind of really talking to your audience and really selling them. And I can just see your business continually growing because of that. Because if you go to your website, it really does. I mean, I was looking at the website today. I was demand generation marketing for HR tech companies. For HR tech company is very, very strategic, right?
Yep.
So what
It was very intentional.
Yeah, intentional. Yeah. No, I love it. And still, someone can still see this that's not in HR tech and still reach out to you. You know what I mean? But it really, and I'm sure they do.
Yeah, and I do have that happen.
Right.
Yep.
I only can imagine, because it's just like they like the outreach, they like to talk, they like what you're representing, or they've seen you on a podcast and they're like who you are, etc. But I love being able to speak specifically, really, really specifically to that audience, because like you said, that's who's going to be, searching you out, hunting you down, finding you. That's going to make you different than your competitors. And that's what's going to get you more inbound leads and opportunities. I guarantee you, than just trying to be it for everybody and you're a general social media agency that can serve everybody from India to America. It's impossible, So I love that. I absolutely love that. What are some of your biggest challenges right now, Deanna?
My biggest challenge is, not enough time in the day, trying to wear too many hats, do everything, right? Like, and where to focus. And as an agency, it often feels like we're the cobbler's children that have no shoes, right? Like we go out and we talk to these clients and we're like, here's the marketing best practices that you need to be doing. And they're not going to buy from you if they don't know you exist. And let's build out that demand in the market for you.
Right.
We don't always do that for ourselves. As you know, in the agency world, the client needs always come first. It happens in so many agencies unless they're big and have their own marketing departments.
Yes, I can absolutely see that. That is a benefit of I've found for our agency, in that using ChatGPT to kind of brainstorm, to kind of come through some ideas of things that we weren't thinking. And then, but you're absolutely right. I mean, most importantly in the marketing business, it's the clients first. And sadly, in the agency world of marketing, it's what have you done for me lately? It didn't matter. Last year, I blew the waters off the success. You've never had such a big year. And then, you wake up January, what's next? You know what I mean? It doesn't matter about the past. It's always what's next. And in some cases, just fighting the fight for the client. Obviously, at the end of the day, because we are, there's a lot, some clients are, going to be affected by people having less money to spend. Like some of our housing clients, the last, from 2020, there people had extra money. Everyone was fixing the houses, and these clients have slowed down a little bit. You know what I mean? Because people don't have that money that they're fixing, or they already made the fix, and so you can't just expect your numbers are going to keep going higher if people don't have as much money, and so people aren't spending $80,000 on their house and, buying all new windows and doors. And if they are, the interest rate they're paying to finance that is much, much higher. So that's affected the amount of they can finance. They can't finance as much, so they can't do as much.
Yeah.
It's a simple 1-2 factor. But the bottom line is that doesn't mean that they don't, kind of continue to rally and continue to grow and to continue. People are going to continue to build houses and want to live, but you have to get through the grind. And I think that's might be what we're going to have for a little bit here, because some categories had so much success that they think they're going to continue to benchmark off like 2020, 2021. It ain't going to happen. It ain't happening on some. And then some categories were down so much in those years because they either were shut down, or their businesses were had to pivot, or things happen, or their businesses maybe basically had people work at home and things like that. They saved money. They got rid of some commercial space. So they became it evolved, but then now they're even stronger, than they were then. So yeah, there are some businesses that, we're setting these crazy benchmarks. Mortgage industry. I know I have friends in the mortgage. Hey, we're making $60 million in, refinances and this and that. That's all dried up. You talk to them now.
Not anymore.
It's tougher, baby. So the whole point is you ain't going to benchmark off that number. You know what I mean? You're benchmarking off a much lower number. And then some industries that were much affected go higher. You know what I mean? And that's obviously there's many factors. There's many things. But at the end of the day, bottom line is for business, it's always evolving. And for agencies, we're always evolving. But we have so many cool tools too. So that's the fun part. You're learning. You're growing. We're about to take you into our top 10 before we roll, my friend. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Apple or Android?
Apple.
Apple. Netflix or YouTube?
Netflix.
Netflix. Instagram or Facebook?
Instagram. I don't even have a Facebook account.
Instagram is Facebook Meta, man. They are quite the company. I think they would buy everything if they could. Let's buy it all. Let's buy it all. Chicken or steak if you're thinking about a good meal?
Steak.
Steak. Laptop or smartphone?
Laptop.
Laptop. Spotify or Pandora? Sorry, I think it cut out right there. Spotify or Pandora?
Pandora.
Pandora, the OG. Movies or video games?
Movies.
Movies. Reading books or listening to books?
Reading.
Reading. Get the physical book. Mark it up, folks. I always like the reading books. You can always give it to a friend, too. That's the nice thing. Hey,
That's true. Although I have mine on Kindle, so.
Right. True. Stocks or real estate? Stocks or real estate?
Oh, I would say real estate.
Real estate. Yeah, you can always live in it, right? You can always live in the real estate. That's a good thing. Right. But it's a little harder to get out of, but you can always live in it. Oceans or lakes if you're thinking about a vacation, because we all deserve vacations, Deanna. I know you work hard.
Yeah. My vacations tend to be on oceans, but my weekends are on lakes, so I love them both.
Nice. What lake are you near on your weekends?
Well, I'm up here in Minnesota, so I have
you have the Great Lakes.
Lake called. Yes, but I'm not hanging out on that gigantic. It's a little lake in Minnesota called North Center Lake.
North Center Lake. Nice. Well, there's nothing like seeing the water. Like they say that there's something about seeing water moving, rivers, streams, pools, oceans, obviously. Something about that for our psyche. So yeah, something about being around water, seeing water daily or weekly or whenever you can. It's something special about that, when you're waking up in your morning and you're getting ready, pumped, energized for your day, why do you love being you?
I love the freedom of being a business owner and the flexibility that it allows.
Right. I think even though sometimes people say, I work less hours as a business owner, and we've had guests that say they work 4 hours a week and 4 hours a day and 4 hours. Sometimes it's 16 hours a day, but you get to choose when those windows are. You get to pick the place you sit. You can do it digitally now. You can be on the road and working. You could be on vacation and doing work essentially, and also getting paid to work and vacation. Like our previous guest, he literally travels 1 to 3 months every year. I'm sorry, every 1 to 3 months, he's traveling to a new location and working and living there. So imagine just be able to work and live all across the globe. Everyone has different passions. Obviously, sometimes that sounds cool. Some people are like, that sounds crazy to me. But the ability, like you said, and the freedom that work and entrepreneurship gives you is that you get the options. You get the options when you work, how you work, where you work, what you work, and obviously you still have to work though, right? We still have to work. We still have to be focused. And
yes, we do.
That's the most important thing. Do you think you'll ever retire from the agency game? Do you think you'll ever, stop work and just give it up and move on?
I think so. Yeah. I still have many working years left in my future, probably, and I can't imagine just being like, all right, I've got nothing to do now. So I'll probably always do something. Yeah. But I'd like to at least get to the point in life where it's optional to work.
Absolutely. I think that's a great point. And then it's very hard sometimes to let the business go and let the customers go and some of that stuff too. So it's either trying to find that right partner that takes over the business, or maybe a person internally, or you obviously, you sell the business, you hope it goes to the right partner. And that's always the next step too, as the business kind of evolves, is does this just end with me, or can this evolve and can we keep all this stuff going? And that's another obviously fascinating part of business, in that some people are just are able to find the right people, get them in play, and so they can scale it and they don't have to be there anymore. And the business lives. Yep. I know for me, it's hard to do that. And so I know, and for obviously many of my customers, it's even big agencies, they still have to be there, and so otherwise the agency does not work the same. And they'll tell me straight to my face, it's not the same if I'm not there. So it's something that basically when the time's right, the time will be right. Right.
Yeah.
And she's going to go, find her next favorite lake. let's go define and relax on.
Yes, definitely.
Do you have a skill you're trying to master right now? Is there something you're trying to master, trying to get better at, maybe?
I've been working on snowboarding for the last few
Oh,
years. I feel like I should be
nice.
better than I am.
That's a hard one to learn too, though. I mean, that's a, it's it's kind of like those people. Like my buddy was a skateboarder. He could just always like ollie off of stuff, and he could always just like do the craziest stuff. I feel like those are the people that are like the greatest snowboarders, and like everyone else is just trying to catch up to them because they're just somehow
Yep.
have it naturally in their soul. They're like, hey, no worries, I'm gonna do a 360 off this and this and that, and then you try that, you're gonna break your neck, boy. Let's go.
Yeah.
It's still fun, huh? It's a fun challenge. It's a super fun challenge and very exhilarating. Very, very
Yes.
exhilarating. As when you're working hard, you gotta have those things that make you feel alive. Couple last questions for you. If you could sit down to a steak dinner with anyone in the world, who would you want to sit down with, Deanna?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. I don't even know. Maybe Barack Obama. I find him to be very
Ooh.
interesting.
Oh, absolutely. Him and Michelle would be fascinating to sit down with. Fascinating.
Yeah.
Their story, just how like the crazy, like what is it like to be the president? Like what would it be like the pressures and I always feel like he was like one of the coolest presidents in our lifetime, or at least my lifetime. I've always felt like he was kind of like the more socially plugged in and socially cool president, like unlike a lot of the presidents of the past or current that I don't feel like are currently like cool. You know what I mean? Like a guy that's like,
Yeah.
hey, I like you. You're a cool guy. Let's go play some basketball, or I don't know, just like something about that. I feel like we kind of need that. You know what I mean? Like that guy that's like our buddy. You know what I mean? Like listen to some
Yep.
rap or listen to some current music and just it's not stuck in the 50s. And you know what I mean? I don't know. That's just my opinion. I don't care about the politics stuff, but I always felt like Barack was like someone I could just chop it up with. And he's like just resonate with what's going on currently. You know what I mean? And I think that's why a lot of people love him, to be honest with you. Still, I think that's why, because it just was so you could feel so connected to him. He just talk. He's talking like you. He's talking like you. He's not talking like some person that we have no idea who you are. Let's go. Do you think has there been a book or a like something you ever read that has changed your life, or you reread it or something like that? Do you gravitate to a specific book, or are you reading a current book right now?
I am reading a current book, but it's like a mystery novel. I read so
Ooh.
many books. I wouldn't say that there is one that was life-changing, but I love
Right.
ones that make me think, whether it's fiction or non-fiction, just
Right.
about, like giving more perspective in the world.
Right. And that's the fun part about reading is that usually you're getting someone's whole lifetime of their thoughts, their whole lifetime of expertise, and it's just shoved into a book. And then you get to absorb their whole life. You know what I mean? And that's kind of cool when you really think about that in general. And that a lot of these legacy people, I was listening to Arnold Schwarzenegger recently, a book, fascinating dude. I mean, just fascinating stories about how he's got to where he got from someone that was and not even part of our country. You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of fascinating that you're getting his whole life story, whether that's going to change your life, like you said, or not. It might not, but it is cool to really kind of encapsulate someone's life and then be able to just, move on and then move on to the next life. You know what I mean? Like, hey, let's go to the next book or let's go to the next mystery novel. But it's just fascinating. I think that's one of the misnomers of reading is that you get there everything. You get there everything in one concise kind of book usually, or one concise thought or chapter or whatever. And I just think it's fascinating. People forget that, you know what I mean? People are putting their whole soul into this thing. And if listen to like some of the greatest books, like they'll last forever, you know what I mean? So it's quite cool in a digital world. Where is your favorite place to hang out? Where is your favorite place if we could gravitate more people in the HR tech space, or people that want to learn about growth, people that want to learn about the things you're doing to generate that demand generation? Where can we send them to learn more about you?
So if you're interested in learning more about demand generation, how you create a catalyst for growth for your company, of course, you can check out Growth Mode Marketing's website. It's just growthmodemarketing.com. I have a podcast as well, actually a couple of them. One is called The Demand Gen Fix, where we talk all things marketing to help companies that are looking one called the HR Tech Spotlight, which is all about different HR technology companies out there that we're working with.
See what she's
You
doing?
can
See
also
what she's
follow
doing?
me on
She's using the podcast as a prospecting tool, folks. This is awesome.
Yeah,
This is the best.
sure.
This is the absolute best. We're going to find those both and put them in the show notes too, guys, so you guys can quickly find them.
Awesome.
Absolutely. I give you
and of course, follow me on LinkedIn.
on
Deanna
LinkedIn
Shimota.
too. Yep. We're going to put all those on there. LinkedIn, growthmomarketing.com. You got the podcast. We appreciate your soul, your passion, your energy. You have inspired myself, my friend. We are going to change the vision of our websites, focused on small to medium advertising agencies. Today, we're going. Let's go.
I love it.
I just appreciate you. Thank you again. Folks, you've been hanging out with Miss Deanna Shimota and Travis Too Tall and Huff. We want to thank you again so much for your time today, and let's keep being real. What another epic episode. And if you enjoyed the episode today, can you please do me a favor and subscribe to our podcast, The Be Real Show, on iTunes or your favorite podcast platform. And also take a little time today, if you don't mind, and give your boy T Huff a review. I would really super appreciate it. And thank you so much for listening today.